In the quiet village of Bethany, nestled among olive trees and sunlit hills, lived a man named Lazarus. He was a kind soul, a beloved brother to Mary and Martha, and a dear friend of Jesus. Their home was one of love, faith, and hospitality, a place where the Savior himself found rest. But one fateful day, darkness fell over their home. Lazarus, the life of the household, fell gravely ill. Mary and Martha did everything they could, but his condition worsened. With no other hope, they sent an urgent message to Jesus. "Lord, the one you love is sick." They knew that if anyone could save Lazarus, it was him. Yet, when the message reached Jesus, he did not rush to their side. Instead, he turned to his disciples and said, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." The disciples were puzzled, and as Jesus stayed where he was for 2 more days, Mary and Martha's hope began to fade. Back in Bethany, Lazarus took his final breath. The cries of grief echoed through the village as Mary and Martha mourned the loss of their brother. Neighbors gathered to comfort them, but their hearts were heavy with questions. Why had Jesus not come? Did he not care? 4 days after Lazarus had been laid in the tomb, Jesus finally arrived. Martha, ever the bold one, ran out to meet him. Her voice was trembling, a mixture of faith and pain. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now, God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus looked at her with compassion and said, "Your brother will rise again." Martha replied, "I know he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day." But Jesus' next words shook her to the core. "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die." "Do you believe this?" "Yes, Lord," she said. "I believe that you are the Messiah, the Son of God, who is to come into the world." Martha returned to her home and told Mary, "The teacher is here and is asking for you." Mary, overcome with grief, fell at Jesus' feet when she saw him. Through her sobs, she said, "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." Jesus was deeply moved, seeing her weeping and the mourners around her crying. He asked, "Where have you laid him?" "Come and see, Lord," they replied. As they led him to the tomb, tears streamed down Jesus' face. The crowd murmured, "See how he loved him." But others scoffed, saying, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" They arrived at the tomb, a cave sealed with a large stone. Jesus, standing before it with authority, commanded, "Take away the stone." Martha hesitated, "But Lord, by now there is a bad odor, for he has been dead for days." Jesus turned to her and said, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" The stone was rolled away. The crowd held their breath as Jesus lifted his eyes to heaven and prayed, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." Then, with a voice that shook the heavens and the earth, Jesus called out, "Lazarus, come out!" And there he was, Lazarus, wrapped in burial cloth, stepping out of the tomb. The crowd gasped in awe. "Take off the grave clothes and let him go," Jesus said. Joy erupted. Tears of sorrow turned to tears of wonder. Lazarus was alive. The news spread like wildfire, and many who witnessed this miracle believed in Jesus. For Lazarus, it was more than a return to life, it was a second chance, a reminder of the power of God. For Mary and Martha, it was proof that their faith was not in vain. And for the world, it was a glimpse into the truth. Jesus is the resurrection and the life. In him, death is not the end, but the beginning of something greater. This was not just the story of Lazarus, it was the story of a Savior who came to bring hope, life, and an eternal promise to all who believe.